Hey, we're looking forward to sharing some great stuff. So check it out. A lot of times you hear about why, people might be making the move over to KW, and you hear about like the thousands and thousands of people who move over into EXP Realty. But today we're going to take a little deep dive as to why somebody who's super successful, running an awesome team, doing some amazing stuff, a coach, and why they would make the move over to KW. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Frank Bernardo. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic, Gil. How are you doing? So grateful that you have had me on today. I really, really appreciate it.
Man, my pleasure is mine. Now we'll go a little bit of backstory, but you run a team. I run a team. We met each other at a sync event and kind of a mastermind for owners, and we were sharing some backstory about some of the things that we were doing, and just an incredible meet. We actually met through a universal friend, Chris Nevada. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. And so for those who don't know, tell us a little about your story, where you come from, and your history.
Okay, well, how much time do we have? I was originally born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. I ended up moving out to California and ended up getting my real estate license. I was a Army military police officer, and I was a police officer in Las Vegas. When I moved out to California, I realized that being a police officer is probably not the best thing for me. So I ended up getting my real estate license in 2003. And then I was rookie of the year for Keller Williams for the entire region in Los Angeles in 2004. I was actually the first agent ever recruited by Keller Williams in my area.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's very similar to the EXP vibes that I'm feeling now, because nobody knew who we were. Everybody had bad things to say. And, everybody was like trying to fight me on like, why are you going to this company? And at the time, and I think that's important when I say at the time, is like the Red Book came out. I actually have the original Red Book. It was revolutionary. It was amazing. I don't have a lot of, certain bad things to say about the company Keller Williams, because, in their time, they were revolutionary and they did a lot of amazing things. So I was rookie of the year, and then I coached the next rookie of the year for the entire region after that, and then I ended up building up my team. I was rookie of the year. I think I did like 165,000 in my first 6 months in real estate, and then after that, I put a team together, and we did like close to $500,000 in my biggest point. And then in 2008, when everything changed, the market crashed. I went through some personal tough times, and I ended up losing everything, and then I ended up coming back and putting it all back together. And so I ended up becoming a team leader at Keller Williams. Was with Keller Williams for 17 years.
17 years.
17 years.
Now you were bleeding KW.
Like you couldn't, like I had people with EXP would call me and I'd be like, what? Like, you're recruiting all these people. Why aren't you recruiting me? He goes, you'll never leave. People like, you'll never leave Keller Williams. Like I could handle any objection for any company, anywhere. I could handle that, and I could probably recruit you. I have friends that would not talk to me on the phone because they wouldn't want me to try to recruit them to Keller Williams. So right. I was a team leader for 7 years. So you couldn't tell me anything negative about Keller Williams. I wouldn't listen to you.
That's funny. So that's an interesting thing. I mean, so it had to take a little bit of soul searching, a little bit of deep dive. What was the thing? Tell me a few things that kind of like said, you know what, maybe I should reconsider this thought. Especially from the perspective of somebody who was bleeding Keller Williams. Tell me more about that.
So it's really funny, because when I first became a team leader, my first year as a team leader, I recruited 111 agents. And I can't remember the guy's name, is the first guy ever reached out to me about EXP. And he was just like, he's trying to pitch me on the whole idea. And I was like, well, what does EXP stand for? And like, he couldn't answer that. And I was just like, he's like, how many people did you recruit? I said, I've recruited 111. And there was like this silence on the other end of the phone. He goes, you would be a really, really rich man if you were with our company.
Yeah, I mean, you at Keller Williams, you were like the top of the mountain there. I mean, not a lot of guys are centennials recruiters, right? So, and also a mega, millions and millions of dollars in sales volume on your team, and was a coach, and you were a MAPS coach for a little while, and
Yep.
you did all the programs in there. It's funny, if you don't mind me asking, Keller Williams, sometimes the brand is kind of associated with training young agents and things of that nature, but and I kind of have some reservations, but like, tell me a little bit about the training programs in there from a coach's perspective.
Well, and it's funny because I am friends with a lot of former coaches with Keller Williams, and the thing that really made me start to pay attention is that being a team leader and growing a team and coaching a team, I think it's really important for you to care about the people that are under you and that are with you. And I think if you don't have that aspect of actually giving a crap about the people that you are with, then that's a problem. And I started seeing this peak out from Keller Williams, is that like they're not really caring about the people that they have on board with their company. And then, when that happened, I just needed a little string to tug on me a little bit. And then, I started looking around and I started paying attention. And then I realized that these coaching programs and all of these things were profit centers. They were profit centers for the company. Like they would brag, as a MAPS coach, they would brag about BOLD, which is, don't get me wrong. Anything I say about Keller Williams, I'm sure that there are Keller Williams offices out there that are amazing, that the owners are
personal opinion.
Like it's awesome. I'm sure there are some that are awesome. My personal experience, 17 years in the business, they would brag about how BOLD, which I think is an amazing program, was one of their number one profit points. Like that's the most profitable program that they had. And they would run that with the goal of making money, not with the actual agent's success. And then when they said, oh, these many people took BOLD and these many people were successful and blah, the numbers would get tweaked all the time. The numbers would get tweaked, and the pressure that they would put on team leaders and offices to put BOLD on and to make that happen was ridiculous.
I went to, I'm kind of like a Tony Robbins disciple. One of the things that I learned early on was motive matters, right? And that kind of shows up in so many different things, right? One of the things I really appreciated about EXP was they were trying to improve the consumer experience, improve the agent experience, and growth was one of the top things that they mattered as a person, as a real estate agent, individual, a father, the whole 9 yards. I felt like they were connecting with me on trying to make me a better person. Yep. And I felt like, there wasn't a string attached to it. I went to a lot of trainings that they were offering. I've seen a lot of events like that, very much about giving first. And I've never, and what's funny is I've yet to go to one of their trainings in the cloud where somebody says, hey, here's my credit card, or, a collaboration of, owners, which, almost everyone who's at EXP is an owner. Once they do the first deal, they're now an owner. So there's just a time period between, who's not willing to just openly share. And I think that collaboration is missing in the whole real estate field. I don't care what company. The company I used to work for at Exit as well, it was same kind of concept. I think that motive of, and the connection really, really matters. What you focus on, right? So what we focus on is helping agents get their deals done, be efficient, give a great experience for the consumer. And because that's our focus, that's why we're so good at it, right? And that's why we're growing so much.
Yeah, I mean, as a MAPS coach, we would talk about, how many people were in the program. And the company itself has about 180,000 agents worldwide, which is amazing. It's the biggest company ever. And they only had about 5,600 in the coaching program. It's like, how does that happen? I mean, and that, when you have issues like that, that's a leadership problem. And that shows what they're focused on. They're focused on the money, because the results that people were getting, you'd have people dropping off left and right like flies, and they would enlist the coaches to recruit to the program. But this is my whole problem, is that I can't recruit you to something that my heart's not into and that I don't believe is actually going to help you, because I'm just lying to you then. And that's not who I am. And I think one of the reasons I'm not a team leader anymore.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that EXP I find so attractive is that, most brokerages, and again, most brokerages, the agent doesn't even understand that they are a lead generation center for the company, right? So they bring you in, and, if you make it, and that's why 87% of agents don't make it in the business, because, They're just being plucked in from the real estate school and sent to a brokerage. They're going to charge you. I mean, I don't know how much Bold was, but like $1,500,
$800.
$800 for the Bold program, then this program and that program. And every office has something like that. But if they're charging you fees, if a company is charging you fees to train you, here's what I'm going to say. They don't believe in you. They don't believe that they're going to make money with you, so they're going to make money from you. And I think that is a challenge with the real estate industry. And I'm not just talking about Keller Williams. I'm talking about every company that's onboarding agents and charging them an upfront fee to train and coach. And if you're spending, $50 or $100, stuff like that, covering some costs, that's one thing. But when you're spending thousands of dollars to get that kind of certification from the company, I just feel like there's something missing there in the motive portion.
Well, I think, and this is something a lot of people don't know, is that, you paid $800 for a Bold, but if you commit to a Bold program with Keller Williams, there's a point in time to where it's a point of no return, and you have to commit to the entire program, but you had to commit to a certain number of people. And if those number of people did not show up, the market center, which is separate from international, like that is, and that's what a lot of people don't know is it's like the Gary Keller Williams International is separate from the franchisee. And that's a big deal that a lot of people don't know about. But if you did not hit that number, the franchise had to pay it out of their pocket to have Bold come out. And that what eats into this coveted, amazing profit share thing that they always talked about, which is a whole nother reason that I'm not with that company anymore, because of the whole profit share system. And so when you start taking money from the market center without the agents, giving permission, because that's what the ALC was supposed to be for. The agents are supposed to give permission to use money for profit share, and that just wouldn't happen all the time. Very, very seldom. So like when you had to pay Bold, it's like, we have to do it. We don't have a choice. So you just write it like a $10,000 check, and now that's profit that doesn't go in the agent's pocket.
So it almost required you to continuing to pay into this pot, because if not, you're just lowering the profitability of everybody, right? So if you as a team leader wasn't making sure that enough people were in Bold, you were affecting the profitability of every agent in the office, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and we're going down a rabbit hole here, but like once you're in Bold and you're taking the Bold program, like there was sales processes through that to where they try to sell you on a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And once I really got deep into that, it did not feel good.
Right. So $800 was just kind of like the intro cost. Yeah. And then there was this book, or there was this program, or you want the good stuff here, you got to go down this rabbit hole too, right?
Basically.
Yeah. I get it. Let me ask you, what else, if you could just give people who are watching, who will continue to watch this on YouTube and things of that nature, what are the 2 or 3 things that really attracted you? Again, you're a coveted Keller Williams agent, coach, team leader. What was it for you? Because there's people out there right now who are thinking to themselves, man, I should have joined 2 years ago, or what have you, stuff like that. And I always say, it's like, we're just getting started. But what was it for you, those 2 or 3 things that kind of led you to say, you know what, I need to make the jump?
So that statement there, I should have joined 2 or 3 years ago. That is actually, I see that in Keller Williams, because Keller Williams does profit share, which is night and day from revenue share with EXP. And I've studied the crap out of EXP and revenue share, because 6 years ago, if I were to take my recruiting numbers for the last 7 years and put them into EXP, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. I'd be on an island with Brent Gove, like sipping a pina colada, and retired for the rest of my life, because it's just ridiculous. But the thing about EXP that really attracted me was the fact that they put the agents first. So when you look at Keller Williams, and you could just really take any other franchise, you take RE/MAX, right, or whatever, you have your corporate structure, and then you have your regions, and then you have your owners, and you have your team leaders, and you have this huge list of all of this money that you have to pay out before you even get to the agent, which is at the bottom of right, this entire thing. With EXP, they put the agent at top. Last year, I recruited, in 2020, during a pandemic, I recruited the Regional Rookie of the Year. He did $136,000 his first 12 months, and I recruited the runner-up. I have 75 people in my downline with Keller Williams. I've made $0 in the last 3 years. And
you made $0?
$0. Zero profit share. And that's because
wait, that is the brand promise. How is that possible?
Because you have people that are owners of Keller Williams running it, and they're running it to their own benefit. They're not running it to the agent's benefit.
So that's what we call a broker centric versus agent centric, right? So I came from a model that was broker centric, right? I was the broker, right? I was the broker owner, and when we kind of leveled up the scales, and I started really getting connected to my team, and I loved my team. We had 100 people on my team. We were number one, listing office, a single office, closing, sales, recruiting. We won the charts every year. But it was an unfair advantage as a broker to the agents that I was serving, and I, come to create as a family, right? And I was like, the name of my company was Unlimited Prosperity Group, and it was designed to I just wanted to help make money with friends and family, and just really teach people how to create wealth rather than just income. And that was at the core value for me. So as a broker owner for a traditional broker centric franchise, it bothered me. My wife was like, we took a look at this model. Shout out to Carlos German who introduced it to me. But I was like, man, this is half true. Because I always felt like there's always something that, there's somebody out there that's telling you something, they're feeding you stuff like that. I was like, even if it's half true, it's like for my agents that I'm here protecting and I love and serve and stuff like that, I owe it to them to give them the opportunity. And it was funny because, I had to implode my brokerage, right? I had a perfectly good brokerage, and I imploded it because I was like, this is the future of real estate. I was like, I have to serve and you know what's funny? My agents were like, it's like, hey, listen, we're just talking about this one. They're like, you know what? We're ready to go right now. By the way, we were already thinking about this before you brought it to my attention, right? So it was interesting. I think everybody wants to be an owner, right? Everybody wants to be able to feel like they're part of something. Everybody wants to be on the winning team. Mm-hmm. And, I think that, once you look at this model, it's kind of hard to shake it off, right? And, I think that people are kind of stuck in old loyalties that in situations like yours isn't even paying out.
Yep. I mean, you've seen this book, right?
It's one of my favorites.
Yep. I love this.
I bought that book like 30 times already.
First business book I ever read. The second was my favorite book, Think and Grow Rich. But I mean, what's the number one property that people usually pull from this book? The number one thing that
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. You know who pays themselves first in Keller Williams? Gary Keller. Smart man. Yep. Because you have that $3,000 franchise fee, and he gets that no matter what.
Right.
Let's say that I recruit you to my Keller Williams office, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to give you 100% for the first 6 months, and you don't even have to pay the franchise fee. Well, the office has to pay the franchise fee then, because there is no way that you're going to own that franchise and not pay that franchise fee. So he pays himself first in many ways, and that's just one of them. And when I really looked at the numbers, so this last year, I leveled up in a lot of ways because the pandemic hit, and I think the pandemic changed people's view and the world.
Sure.
And when I was sitting around with my wife, who's crushing it in real estate.
Right.
Tracy's awesome. I couldn't do anything I do without her. I would be just a lump of blob just laying around on the ground without my wife.
Hey, Tracy, I'm sure you're right next to him. Camera if you like.
She's laughing in the other room right now. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like the real estate world's changing. I don't know what's going to happen with the office. And,
Sure.
we came to the conclusion that we should team up. And I said, well, I want to create a system that we have unlimited leads, that we always have business. And I don't know where to get that from. And I said, you know what? I saw this guy on stage with Keller Williams, and his name is Chris Nevada. And he said he did $179 million in his first 2 years in Reno, Nevada, all online. And I'm like, that doesn't seem real. I got to call this guy.
Yeah.
I called him up, and he was beyond the coolest guy that I'd ever met. And he just basically gave me all his information. He gave me so much information. I still didn't believe him. And I said, I want to fly up to Reno and meet you with my wife and see what you do. And I need you to prove this to me. And he did.
Right. Yeah.
And when I came back, we put everything together. Out of blind faith, I started writing checks. And the world was in a place where it didn't need offices anymore. That's another thing that I started clicking. My office rent for my company when I first started there was $32,000 a month. That was my office rent.
You ran a month?
Yes, to have office space, and it sat unused for almost a year. And so this year, because of Chris Nevada and his kindness, that we created our real estate team, and our real estate team has done over 32 million. Year to date, over 50 transactions. And in our area, that's, you don't have a lot of people doing that.
Wow.
And I realized I don't need a real estate office to do that. I don't need a physical office space to actually do that. And it opened up my mind, because now not only is my wife paying all these fees to this company, I'm paying them now. And then the whole, not giving a crap about their agents from Keller Williams International actually trickled down to our office, to where I didn't feel I was the team leader. I was the day-to-day person that was in there helping people, taking agents' calls at 9 o'clock. I was in there helping people, and I didn't feel like the ownership or anybody around me gave a crap about our team or my wife. And to be honest with you, that's the only reason I'm in this business, is that I remember at a family reunion, I was talking to one of the owners, and he's like, "What do you want? What do you want out of this?" I said, "I want to help as many people as I possibly can." And he looked at me dead in my eye. He goes, "I want to be rich." And you know what? Nothing bad about people who want to be rich. I get it. I want to be rich too, but it's all in how you go about it.
Motive matters, man.
And so, I know,
coming back to that, I feel like, I think it's such a simple thing, but people are going to sniff that out. Like I built my organization, very similar, right? I want to see people grow. I want people to do better than I do, right? I want to be able to leave this place, 100 years from now, when I'm 140, 149, but feeling like, we did something, we made a difference, and you can still get money along the way from doing that. And in fact, I'd argue you make more money that way, by helping people, do better.
When I tell people, the whole reason I want to help you is because I know if I help you, I'm going to be successful. Right. Every recruiting appointment that I go on, you hear me say that, because I'm genuine about it. And the problem is that it got to a point to where I couldn't even talk about profit share in a recruiting conversation anymore, just because there was any. And I recruited the top 2 people in our region for Rookie of the Year, and I made nothing. And so anybody that's an entrepreneur, and I love your title here, Rise of the Real Estate Entrepreneur. Anybody that is an entrepreneur that gets into business in real estate needs to know one thing, a couple of things actually. The brand name of the company that they're with is not important. That's right. Keller Williams is not important. Coldwell Banker is not important. EXP is not important. Right. What's important is your brand, your personal brand. I don't even know what company you're a part of, because it's Gil Ramos. Because if I want to buy or sell my house, I'm going to do it with Gil. I'm not going to do it with EXP. I'm not going to do it with Keller Williams.
Doesn't matter.
And that's the big thing, is that so many agents don't focus on what's important, and they're almost put into this atmosphere of you're working for the brokerage. Because if you ask any agent, who do you work for? Oh, I work for Keller Williams. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't work for Keller. You don't work for Coldwell Banker. You work for yourself. And once you can figure out that you work for yourself, and that you can have this dream that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, multiple streams of income. Right. So many books out there on multiple streams of income. When I sat back and I really opened my eyes, because I think I have a really open mind, and I looked at the models, I laid all the models out, because honestly, I'm leaving Keller Williams. I can't do this anymore. This is painful, and I feel like I'm lying to people. I looked at all the models, because I love Chris to death, but I wasn't like, I'm going to EXP. Blah. I was like, what's the best thing for us and my family? Because I have 3 kids. My wife has 2 kids. We're building this thing. And I'm like, is Compass better, or is RE/MAX better? Well, first of all, anything that's a franchise doesn't work. I'm sorry, if you have a franchise, you need to sell that thing and move on, because that's just not going to work long term. And so when I looked at the opportunity of having a $9,000 lower cap per year, not paying a franchise fee, revenue share, which I think is just revolutionary in the way they're doing it and how it's working. The equity program, the fact that I can take a portion of my commission and buy the stock at 10% under. And let me tell you, so one of the things with the leadership, we'd have all these leadership calls, and we'd get messages going, EXP stock is down, go after everybody with EXP. I'm that's a real thing. They'd be like, yeah, you should probably have conversations with the EXP people, because their stock's down 10% today.
By the way, that day probably so was Coca-Cola, IBM, Tesla, everybody else. Yeah, we're a publicly traded company, and stock goes up, stock goes down. But
the thing is a lot of people that are real estate agents don't understand how wealth works.
Well, when I started, just to tell you, I started at $8, right? The stock was $8 when I started, and to be very frank with you, I just appreciated being an owner, right? Here's the deal: as a real estate agent, even as a real estate broker, if you die, your business pretty much dies with you. But I've got 6 kids, and my wife, really, my wife loves the stock program. Why? Because you know what? If something were to happen to me, they have an asset that they can take and sell, right? And we have hundreds of thousands of dollars inside the stock program that the company's given me, that I've also invested alongside, because we're really, really strong, just company, right? Balance it, look at the balance book, you look at our profitability, you look at our long-term metrics. I mean, we're just a good company, right? So, we own software, we own these different companies, stuff like that. Real estate is just a portion of EXPI. I mean, I invite, if you haven't looked it up, look it up. I think we're about $46 right now, or $47, something like that. So look, I mean, $8 a share, and the company gave me 10%, bonus on top of that. They gave me stock when I joined and did my first deal. They gave me stock when I introduced somebody to the opportunity. They gave me stock when I capped out. They gave me a ton of stock when I became a mega icon team. Those are things where the company's now investing with me, just like the opposite of like where companies say, hey, you need to pay for this, this bold program. No, the company's investing in me. And it was, when my wife and I looked at that, I was like, it's like, this is a better move for us long-term for our family. This is going to be something that's really going to be, what's even the best part. And I know you just got started. You just got started with us, but like I have agents on my team that have been with me for 7 years. After the first 5 years with me, and we left Exit Realty, they left with nothing. Like right now, I've got agents in with me, single moms, people that that made the trip with me and stuff like that. And they open up their stock portfolio and they're like, "Wow, I can go buy a house cash, right?" And that a lot of things are happening right now that I think the rev share and the stock gets a lot of credit. And even the training gets a lot of credit for it. But the reality is the backbone, the systems, the resources, the 800 admins that are working in the cloud, working for the agent, not above, not corporate. These are people who are in alignment and understand that, like, the agent comes first. I've never really experienced that before. I've never been able to go into an environment where everyone looks at you and says, you matter, you're important, you're the brand, you're the champion out there, you're the advocate of the company, we're here to support you. And I've worked for Fortune 500 companies, I've worked for a bunch of mom and pop companies. I was like, it makes that culture difference, that motive matters, and it's the key to why we're so successful right now.
Yeah, when the pandemic happened, we had to sign up people online. And this is no joke, like we lost 7 people because we couldn't figure out how to do it without bringing them into the office. Oh. And with EXP, it's just like, it was like that. And like, we were just talking to my wife and I were talking to our attorney this morning, and, they were like, well, how do you like it? Like, how was the transition? They were like, my wife said, I think it was easier to transition to EXP than it was with Keller Williams. And like, we literally went in and sat down and filled out paperwork. And it's like, it's just
it's the old school model.
Yeah. The wealth opportunity that EXP has, I think, is something that nobody else has. And if you want to create multiple streams of income, you could do that with this company, because right now, like, people are like, oh, you're not my team leader anymore. I go, no. I am still your team leader. I can still be your team leader, and I'll show you how to put together a 5-year plan to where you have passive income in the next 6 months, and I'll do that for you. I don't want you to attract agents. I don't want you to recruit. You come with me and I'll do it for you. And I'll show you how to do it for you. I will lay out the plan. Like, give me a napkin and I'll show you what it looks like in 5 years and a 6-figure passive income, because I already have my retirement, my future for my kids and everything laid out. Because none of us are promised any time on this planet. And I have to do what's best for the people that I'm loyal to. I'm not loyal to any company. Like, I'm loyal to the people that surround me on a daily basis that I'm going to move forward with in the future. And you know what? I've gotten lucky enough to be introduced to you, Chris Nevada, and a bunch of people with EXP that, that I've pulled into that sphere. And the sense of freedom that I have right now after leaving that structure that I was in before is amazing. It's amazing. And we have people literally talking to us every day about joining. Like, why did you leave? Like, what can I do? How can I be a part of this? And we're having conversations every day.
Good stuff. Hey, just here, I'm curious. Like, the one thing that, like I said, rev share, the technology, the the stock. They get a lot of play, but what they don't really talk about is the production. You know, my personal business, my team's business tripled within the first 2 years of being with EXP. And that's something I think is worth talking about. You know, how has it been? Like, I get it with the market center. You got a market center, people, you know, they like each other, they're friendly, stuff like that. But how is your relationship from market center to market center? And do you feel that there's any difference in the EXP model because of the ownership model, because we're all owners?
So relationships from market center to market center, it was very tumultuous. Just let me say that. If anybody ever came over from another market center to my market center, I was automatically deemed as stealing that person. Like, you're calling through our I never called through anybody's roster. And I've caught people calling through my roster, and I'm just like, good luck. Like, I've won awards for retention. Like, I have an award up here for retention. Like, when I recruit people, they don't usually leave the company that I recruit them to, because
you're making them better.
I'm making them better. And when I make a promise, I make the promise and I follow through with the promise. So my retention has always been really good. But between market centers, like, there was no support from the region. There was infighting and arguing, and just all this like high school stuff that honestly, I called up my OP one day and I'm just like, come on, like, seriously, like, they're bad mouthing me and saying all these bad things in the market center and all these places. I go, this is ridiculous. And then, you know, we actually had this powwow with the entire region and all these people on it. And I'm like, this is the most unproductive thing. It was frustrating. It's not the way businesses should be run.
It's funny because I watched you on Facebook many times, and you know, you're very open about your classes. You know, you do a lot. You do a lot of nurturing, a lot of coaching for your agents. You're kind of like very protective about making sure they're successful and things like that. I've seen that through, you know, I mean, you post a lot, so I've seen them through like maybe thousands of pictures and videos of you, like, you know, working with your team and stuff like that. How do you think that EXP might be able to help you expand on that?
You know what? One of the great things I love about EXP is that I don't have anybody looking over my shoulder telling me what to do or how to do it. You know what? As long as I'm running my business legally and I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, I don't have, and if I need help from the broker, if I need help from like people like you, people like Chris, like if I need local help, you know, it's there for me. One of the things that I think is really important, and maybe this is off topic a little bit, is that the number one thing that people tell me is like, you don't have offices. I'm like, well, yes, actually we do. So when you say office, you mean a place to go.
Like an office, we get 8,000 in downtown Orlando.
Yeah. So like I said, I've already met agents at 4 different locations, and I have a world that I can go to with Regus and with spaces.com. It actually gives me more locations and more office space. I mean, if you mean a place where other agents within your company go to and chat and gossip and do all that kind of, no, we don't have that, because that's not productive. But if you need a place to go to take a client, to sit down, to do work, to not be bothered, to be productive, like, it 100% has that.
Right.
You know, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity. I think the biggest thing that EXP can do to support me is what they're already doing, is that, like, when I need something, I pick up the phone and I call somebody, and they answer my question. And I have a concierge with EXP that, like, I text, I call, and like, bam, it gets answered within a second. I have somebody signing up right now. They filled out a thing and they're like, oh, I don't know where to put my broker or the address. I'm like, text this person, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, they just answered me, like that.
Yep. Yeah,
every single person in my office answer that quickly. Nobody in my office would answer that. There's people in my office that would never return an email. And these people are like on top of it because they understand the power of being virtual and servicing the person that is most important in the company, which is the agent. And I'm coming from an environment where the agent wasn't important. The dollar was important. And this company understands that the agent's important because the agent's actually going to bring the dollar. It's going to bring the dollar to the people that they're bringing on to the company, and it's going to bring the money on that's going to help move us forward.
Right. Just out of curiosity, and I just want to be very transparent, was there anything that when you joined EXP that kind of caught you off guard, that you finally felt like, man, I wish I would have known this in the beginning?
I don't know, Tracy, is there? I don't think so. That's a really good question. Well, and so I did my research. So like I said, you joined when the stock was $8. if I joined when the first person mentioned it to me, it was $3. And he made jokes in the office that it was like, oh, it's a penny stock, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
and that was like the biggest thing. It's like, your stock's worth nothing. Why would I join your company? And then it went from $3 to $8 to $20 to $50. And it was like almost at $100 at one point. And I'm sitting back going, I'm like, I recruited and I'm like doing this math inside my head. And then people are like, oh, is it still at $100? I go, no, because it's split.
Yeah, we just split.
Yeah. And now we're like around 50. And so like, if you would have joined like 5 years ago versus today, your life would be different. And I can't tell you anybody's life that could change that dramatically with any other company.
Right. I mean, even there's other publicly traded companies. Reality trade at $17.
I do have a problem with EXP. I do. Sure. There is no avatar with my hair. We need to work on that. I need my avatar to have my hair. It just doesn't work otherwise.
Yeah. I've got like this Havana hat on my avatar. So like it works for me because I have too many bad days with my hair. So.
Really? No, you don't say. Your hair is amazing.
I appreciate that.
You know what? I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not like the world, the EXP world or whatever with the avatar. I mean, I'm not super excited about that, but I'm not going to make something like that make my decision on whether I'm going to join a company or not. And I know people, I've had people say, oh, well, I don't really like the world.
Yeah.
Okay. But but there's also a lot of people in real estate that shouldn't be in real estate. It shouldn't be entrepreneurs either. But it's like, that's just one facet of it. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's just not my thing. And I'm going to be able to do what I need to do without that. Like, I can't even tell you the last time I went on there because I just don't need to go on there because all the other things that EXP gives me is better.
Okay. So I'm going to do a little segment. I'm just curious. Okay. All right. So you're a real estate coach, right?
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Right. There is a gun to your head, and it only gets pulled away if you can give some advice to a real estate agent, and they can do a deal in their first 30 days. So a brand new agent comes into real estate, they've got to do a deal in the first 30 days or powwow to you. What do you tell that agent?
That's a really good question, and it's actually a very easy answer. So in real estate's a numbers game. Like, I don't care who you are, how smart you are, whatever. And it's not about how smart you are. It's not about talent. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about how much you hustle. So I tell everybody that I bring on, listen, I will help you be successful. I will give you every tool that you need to be successful. I just can't do the work for you. So if you're willing to put in the work, you can have whatever number that you want at the end of the next 12 months. And I always ask people, because this is for every real estate recruiter and leader out there, this is the number one question that most people don't ask the person sitting in front of them. What's your goal in the next 12 months? What do you want in the next 12 months? Because if you can't help that person get to that goal or realize their goal isn't big enough, then you are not doing a service to that person. So I tell everybody, I say, take out your phone for me. And they take out their phone. I go, how many people do you have in your contacts? Right. And they go, I have, the average number is like 200. I go, okay, 200 people. So statistically, 6% of everybody you know is going to have a commission experience in the next 12 months. Sure. So they're going to either buy, sell, or they're going to refer business out in real estate. So let's take 6% of 200, which is 12, right? 6% of 200 is am I right there? Is my math out?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So if you take the average price of a home in our area, it's like $10,500 commission. So you take $10,000, 500 times that by 12. That's literally what you have in your phone right now. You just have to go figure out how to find it. So now that's easier said than done. So when you call these people, these 200 people in your phone, what do you say? So there's people in your phone, those 200 people, somebody you haven't spoken to in 7 years. Right. So I'm going to give you the script on what to say and how to say that. And
let's hear it. Come on.
So I haven't spoken to you in 7 years. I'm going to call you up. Ring, ring.
Hey, how's it going? What's up, Frank?
Hey, Bill, it's Frank Bernardo. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. What's going on?
You know what? I know that it's been a really long time since I've called you up. It has. And you know what? I want to apologize. That's totally my fault. I was going through my address book and I realized we hadn't connected in a very, very long time. And I wanted to call, apologize, check on you. See, how are you doing? How's the family? How's everything going?
dude, we just made it through this whole COVID Delta thing, but everybody's good. Everybody's happy, healthy, wealthy, strong. Can't
That's
complain.
awesome. How's work? Are you still working in the same place? Like, are you still doing the same thing?
Yep, the boss is grinding me, but we're working it out.
That's great. I know you used to like to go on the lake. You had the boat and everything. Are you still going on the lake with the boat? I mean,
yeah, not as much as I used to. Probably got to do some work on it, but I'm glad you reminded me. Maybe I'll put some work in it.
And you're still in Florida, right?
Yo, man, I'm not going anywhere. I love Florida.
Are you retiring in Florida? Is that what the dream is?
Well, if I get to live that long and things go well, that's the plan.
See, now what I just did, I just reconnected with you after 7 years. And all I did was what I do is the Ford script, is that I did family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And so if you go through,
what? I used that script and I didn't even know you were doing it. I just did what you got.
But the thing is you go through your 200 people and you talk to all your 200 people and you do that script with your 200 people, there is a deal in there. There is a referral. There is something. And then the biggest problem everybody has, not just new agents, but everybody has in the real estate business, is that I say your sphere of influence and I say your 200 people, but what people don't understand is that I'm not talking about just your 200 people. You're not calling your mom and your dad because you want a deal from your mom and your dad. I'm calling Gil because I want to connect with you, and I want you to tell your sister about me. I want you to tell your sister's boyfriend about me.
Connect with their 200.
Exactly. So that 200 is actually more like 2,000 once you spider web it out and realize that my conversation with you is not just with you. And so it's like, I say, when's the last time you talked to your sphere of influence? I called them 2 months ago. Really? You should call them every month. Yeah. And they're like, well, I don't know what else to say to them. Ask them about their friends. Ask them about their family. Start asking questions and connect with your mom's cribbage people that she goes and plays cribbage with. Like, ask to go to the cribbage thing and bring lunch. Like, you have to spider web it out. So if you do that, I have not known one person that's actually put in the work and the effort, like 2 to 3 hours a day to do this, that hasn't gotten a deal in the next 30 to
No, I 100% believe that too. I mean, the reality is that, connection's easy. I mean, we overcomplicate that. Connect to the last, especially if you haven't talked to no other. When's the last time you connected with that person? Just bring back the conversation to that. Hey, man, Frank's great seeing you, man. He goes, I was passing that golf course that we played on, I don't know, 2017. I immediately thought about when you chucked that thing in the water. Dude, that made me laugh. I just had to call you up, man. How's it going, right? And then you kind of, the cultivation, that long-term cultivation is just about, like, people have to stop being so, worried about being interesting and just being interested in what they're doing. So, I'm just going to follow up on the things that hey, dude, I saw that Robert Kiyosaki put out a new podcast. Did you take a look at that? I thought about you because you're always talking about that book, right? And you're just going to connect and cultivate the things that you've talked about in the past, and you keep reconnecting. And if you know what their dream is, that's an easy one, right? I was like, hey, man, I was passing by a lake, and I wonder when Gil's going to buy that lake house, right? Just recultivate those relationships, using the Ford method or, any other method like that. I like Ford, super simple. I drive a Ford truck and a Tesla, kind of.
Well, I think there's also a mindset issue around the immediacy of the deal. Like, so many people, I cannot tell how many times. So, like, I do a tremendous amount of online leads. Like, we just got an online lead into escrow yesterday. And so many people, like, I'll put them in the system and they'll start calling online leads, or they'll call people and they go, yeah, these leads are good, or those people aren't interested. And it's just like, no. They're not good today. Right. But that person is going to buy, sell, or rent at some point in their life. And you want to make sure that when that happens, they think of you, because a lot of people get into real estate and they don't understand that the real estate transaction and people moving houses is centered around specific life events. So, like, people will move. People aren't just going to randomly move to move. They're going to move because they had a baby, they got a job, they lost a job, they got a divorce, their kids moved out, somebody died. Like, there's all these different things that trigger why somebody decides to move in a property. So when you're on and you're doing this Ford script, like, the Ford script is set up like, how's the family? Like, I realized, okay, that takes care of anybody dying, anybody getting married, any kids happening, new dogs, like all these different things. And that goes into my notes. Oh, okay, had a baby, maybe. And then when somebody goes, oh yeah, so-and-so just had a baby, do not miss or trip on the opportunity to say, do you think they might need a bigger house? Like, just say it. Just do it. Like most people were like, they won't follow up with that. And I was just talking to my wife, who was talking to our trust attorney, who said that knew all of these huge agents, lived in an apartment, they had a baby, and not one agent out of all of these major agents in the area that I live in asked them, you think you might need a bigger place? Like, just say it. You're in real estate. People expect that. But people want the now business so much that they're leaving all this money on the table of all this business that could happen in the next 12 months if you just figure out where people are in the process. Are you a hot lead? You're going to buy or sell in the next 30 days. Are you a nurture lead? It's going to be the next, 3 months to 90 days. Or are you a watch, somebody that I just have to keep in contact with because somebody at some point in time, maybe yourself, is going to need a real estate agent, and I want to make sure you think of me. So it's all about mindset in that aspect.
Dude, that's super solid. I think an agent who's just coming on board or maybe needs a restart could probably just do that and simply just pull out their phone, go through 200 contacts, and with confidence know there's 12 deals out there just waiting for them to connect with them. And, you'd be surprised. I mean, I think we're in a world right now where, I think people are starving for a good conversation, right? We've become so superficial with just like, hey, a little smiley face or like, a like, on something on social media, that there's no depth of connection. I challenge agents that are out there who are watching this right now to really take it one step question. I believe curious people make more money, right? The value of your commissions in the questions you ask. So, continue to ask questions, find out, what's interesting to them, do those interesting things with them, and just build the relationship and forge relationships that are going to build a legacy for your family.
And if I can give one more success hack, I'm going to give a success hack to everybody.
We'll end it with that one. Go ahead.
So the success hack is that when I tell people everything that I just told you, they still don't do it because they're afraid to pick up this phone and have the conversation, right? Because they're afraid to get rejected and they're afraid of failure. So the only way that you're going to get successful is if you fail. You have to fail. Failure is actually the success hack. So if you want to be successful, you have to fail, and you have to take yourself out of that comfort zone and just do it. If somebody like me who's actually done it and will literally pick up your phone, call your people, and do what I tell you to do. I did that with somebody, and I'm like, when's the last time you talked to Steve? He goes, oh, it's been like 3 years. I go, call him. He goes, what? I go, give me your phone. I'll call him. I literally did what I just did with you. I called him and I said, hey, I'm calling for Joe and blah, blah, blah. And we went through the whole thing. And I'm like, here, take your phone. I can't do anything else for you. And it's like, if people can get out of their own way and realize that once they fail, that's a learning opportunity that's going to actually exponentially catapult them to success, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, man. So simple, but so, so true, but so genius at the same way.
It's scary. It's scary. Like, let's be honest, it's scary, but like, it's fine. It's okay to be scary. Just do it scared.
You know what? When people are scared, the same thing I do with my little kids, we just turn the lights on. Like, what are we really scared of? Well, let's go look under the bed, right? And what we find out is what we put in our head is way scarier than the truth. Just go get hung up on it if that's what it takes for you to get it out of your way, right? Listen, I fumbled through a lot of calls early in my business. I was just telling somebody else not so long ago at my sales rally. I hung up on myself once. I mean, it's like, this call is going so bad. I feel like they're going to I just hung up on myself. Terrible. But you know what? I learned so much from that experience. Failure leads to success. I really appreciate spending some time with you, Frank. I know you got 1,000 things you're doing. Hey, Tracy, if you're listening, I hope you crush it today. Shout out to Chris Nevada, who introduced the two of us. And, he's been an incredible coach, mentor for so many people. And I'm glad he's come on board too in the Reno market. And actually, he's in multiple markets now. Tell somebody if somebody wanted to reach you, Frank, how would they reach you? How can people connect with you?
So my cell phone is the best way to reach me. Texting me is probably the best way. Calling me, like, I get frustrated when people's voicemail get full and then mine gets full, and it's like, seriously. So texting me is probably the best way. It's 818-263-7265. And my email is frank@frankbernardo.com. So that's super super easy. But if you want to talk about,
tell me your phone number again.
818-263-7265. But you want to talk about fear, like, or being scared or doing something scared. I walked away from Keller. I walked away from a 6-figure salary to be part of EXP. because the opportunity is so great. And so that's what I need people to understand, that the opportunity is there. You actually have to believe in yourself more than you probably do right now.
And that is the absolute rise of the real estate entrepreneur that we're talking about. Thank you, Frank, for being on the show. Look forward to hanging out with you soon. Maybe I'll see you at EXPCon in November. But it's been a pleasure to hang out with you for a little while.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gil. I appreciate the time today.
Take care. Be well.
Bye.